Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and I have a project to share with you today. We are going to be making some finger puppets or peg dolls to go along with this story called The Giant Turnip. Now, I already felted a large turnip, but we're going to go ahead and felt some smaller ones to go along with the peg dolls. But let me just show you what I did here. It's massive, and I got the idea actually from Living Tree. I'm going to link her channel down below and the video in which she shows how, she didn't actually show how she made it, but she shows her turnip and it's gorgeous, and this is my attempt. But I thought, so we went ahead and did the story, and I kind of had this as a prop for the story. But then I thought to use some peg dolls and then like recreate the whole story using peg dolls. But for this story, the peg dolls needed arms. So I am going to be trying out these ones. I've never used them before. They're available at achildsdream.com. And I got a variety of sizes. And they're this gorgeous wood. And they come with the, what are these? The pipe cleaners, as well as these little wooden beads that have a hole on them. And then you just put the wooden bead at the end. So this is definitely not for young children. If you've got young children, this is definitely going to come off. Even if you glue it in place, just be really careful about things like that. So there's arms, so it's going to go along with the story really well, because the story is about a grandfather who plants a turnip seed and it grows really large, and he goes to go pull it out and he can't. So then grandmother comes, and then the child comes, and they're all trying to pull this giant turnip out. So obviously this is way too giant for this peg doll. So we're going to go ahead and felt some smaller ones, and then we're going to do the whole story with the peg dolls and the turnips. All right, so what I thought I would do is alter the story a little bit. This is a Russian folk tale, and it has a grandmother, grandfather, a child, a dog, a cat, and a mouse. And I thought, since I don't have a cat and a dog and a mouse as little wooden figures, and I don't want to make them out of polymer clay, I thought that I would alter the story a little bit and have, let's say, maybe a grandmother and a grandfather, and maybe a child and a baby, or maybe a dog, like a mom and a dad, a grandmother and a grandfather. Not sure exactly. We're going to play around with it. We're going to make some of these today, and then we're going to do the whole story again with our props. I'm really excited about doing this. So the first one I'm going to work on is the grandfather, and I think that all of them, oh, this is really cool. I didn't notice this. This one is actually a finger puppet. The head is larger on this one, and this one is solid, and the head is smaller. I like the smaller head one a little bit better than the larger head one. Anyway, they are all, to the best of my knowledge, shaped like this. So this is more like in the other peg dolls, the shape of the female peg doll, but we are going to make this into a male peg doll, a grandfather at that. So I'm going to make him a beard and some hair, guys.
Sure.
Maybe a hat?
Do it like Dumbledore.
Like Dumbledore. All right. So we're going to get started on this now. Oh, let me show you really quickly the wool felt that we have. This is also from A Child's Dream. This is the 100% wool felt. It's gorgeous, and we have some really beautiful fall colors here, but they also have an autumn pack, which is really nice. But I am kind of gravitating towards these colors in here, so I think I want the whole family to kind of coordinate and have some of these colors. All right, so we are going to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is measure off how much I need of this brown felt in order to make pants for the peg doll. And I just kind of put the peg doll down on the felt, and now I'm just wrapping it around to figure out where to cut it. Now, it is a little bit tricky working with this cone-shaped peg doll, but in the end, you can't even tell that it is cone-shaped. It looks really awesome. I really love the way that this turns out. It is a little bit difficult to work with at first, especially since I didn't really know what I was doing, but now I do. So the ones that followed this one are a lot easier to do. So I was going to try to make kind of notches, and that's why I put that triangle piece, or I cut out a triangle piece on the one side, thinking that way it can wrap around the more narrow parts of the peg doll, but it didn't really work out that way, but that's okay, because the mistakes I made with this one actually turn out in my favor, and you'll be able to get a closer look at that at the end. Now, I apologize because for most of this video, I am so near being out of frame that you're not going to get a good look of what I'm doing. I didn't realize this at first. Now, I'm going to take you somewhere in my craft room to one of my drawers in my printer's cabinet because I'm going to look for some accessories for this peg doll before it's even complete. So in these drawers, I have these antique printers trays, and it's perfect for organizing tiny little things. And I also have a lot of different beads and other just small embellishments that I used a lot at one time, and I just kind of collected over the years, and they're finally having a home now in the crafts that I'm doing today. So I have these really beautiful bronzy kind of beads that I'm just gonna pull them out, and hopefully they're gonna find a home on one of these peg dolls. I ended up making quite a few in the course of 2 days. I think I ended up making 7, and my daughter made one that I helped her with for the story that we were doing. Now I'm taking you into a different drawer to find more supplies. I'm just pulling everything out. I have to say that this very first one did take about an hour or more to do, but the ones that follow were a little bit easier. And ironically, this one doesn't actually even make it into the story that we're doing, because once I was done doing the whole set, I realized that he didn't really match the rest of the characters. He ends up looking quite Western, in my opinion, at the end of it. So my 11-year-old son has this one as his own. He loves it. He loves it so much. The look on his face when we were done with this project was just priceless, because he had seen me do most of it, and then he had walked away and was playing and doing schoolwork for the last little bit. And when I showed him the finished peg doll, his face lit up. It was beautiful. All right, so I'm going to give this little peg doll a shirt here. And I, again, don't exactly know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of wrapping it around thinking that it's going to work. And I mistakenly wrap it around on the wrong side because I was trying to get that seam in the front on the back because I don't want the seams to show. And I accidentally made it in the front so that the front of the shirt is nice and clean, but the pants are all rippled. However, it turned out to be in my favor because it makes it look like it's a pair of pants, like it's separated. And so then I decided to make the rest of them, all the rest of the boy peg dolls that are like this, the same way, so that it kind of looks like the felt on the lower half of the body looks like a pair of pants where those two pieces of felt come together. So the mistake turned out to be a good thing in the end. Now I want to make him a jacket, and one of the challenges for me is trying to think of how a two-dimensional object can become three-dimensional. So I'm trying to figure out a pattern, and I'm struggling quite a bit with how it's supposed to look. It's just not my skill set. So I'm kind of, a little bit of trial and error. However, do check the description box below for more information on where you can find patterns that are already made so that you don't have to go through the same toil that I went through. So now I'm going to sew it together. So this detail is gorgeous. I do a blanket stitch, but it does take a little bit of time. You certainly could hot glue this together. You just would want to make sure that it would still fit around the arms and the rest of the peg doll if you're going to hot glue it together. Here's a closer look at that blanket stitch. It's a really easy, simple stitch to do. It's just that I was getting a little bit, kind of done with this project by this point, so I was kind of hasty. It's not like the best stitching ever, but it really doesn't matter. It kind of adds to the kind of rustic look of the peg doll. And I'm trying to save a little bit of felt. I don't know, you don't have to do this, but I made the front of the jacket a little bit shorter than the back. I thought it would show the rest of, his outfit a little bit more, and plus because of the shape of the jacket, it does go through quite a bit of felt because you have the arms, and I was just being frugal at this point and just trying to make the front part of the jacket out of scraps rather than, cutting into more of my felt. It's okay in the end. It actually looks pretty good. You can see some of the detail in the shirt and the pants and that extra little buckle that I kind of gave him. I don't really know what it is, but it looks kind of cool. I'm also going to give him a beard, and you won't be able to see it in, by the end of the video. I do alter it, and you'll have to go to Instagram to see what he actually looks like in the end. He's very similar. It's just that I add a little bit more to the beard so that it's a little bit longer, I suppose. So to put on the hair, you kind of have to be excessive about it, and then you can trim down the extra hair. So I'm just using some brown bulky weight Lamb's Pride yarn, I cut a bunch of pieces about 1 inch long, and then I am gluing them on with the tip of the yarn into the glue because he's not going to have a hat, although a hat would look super cool. So you want to make sure that there's no glue showing, and this is one of the lengthier parts of most of my peg doll making, but because there was so much stitching for his outfit, this ended up just being as long as, doing the rest of it. This was, again, a pretty lengthy process for this type of peg doll with the arms and the cone-shaped look of it. But you can see now he does not, you can't even tell that the peg doll form was a cone. At the end, he just totally looks more like a man versus the cone shape that looks a little bit more feminine. I'm going to give him eyes, although the rest of the peg dolls for this series do not have faces, I think. And I try to give him a little mouth between the beard, and he's just about done here. So the thing is that some of those little buttons on his shirt, which are just little beads, they came off really quickly. So in the future, I would recommend sewing those on if you really want to keep them. This is not intended for young children. A lot of these pieces could come apart, so do be really careful if you have little children, especially ones that put things in their mouth, because those little balls at the end of his arm would come off easily, even though I used hot glue to put them on. Okay, so if you want to see the rest of the peg dolls in this series for the giant turnip, then you can tap on the screen right now. And if you want to see more of the projects that we're doing on a regular basis, you can find me on Instagram at Pepper and Pine.